Shock Monkey Radio is created by adults for entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed here do not reflect the sponsors or FXPG Public Radio. For additional information, refer to the U.S. Bill of Rights. Stand warned. But anyway, I wrote this. It's called Uneasy Wood Elf. All right. And for those of you who play Everquest, will probably appreciate this. If you don't play Everquest, you may appreciate this just for the Charlie Daniels factor. God rest his soul. This is called Uneasy Wood Elf. I was taking a trip out to NK, stopping by the bank in HK, foraging some berries and begging for a sow. Just as I crossed the EK line, I heard my stomach starting to whine, and I knew this foraging thing has got to go. My bag was empty and I got uptight because there didn't seem to be an inn in sight, so I just limped on down the path, my tummy growling. I went as far as I could walking through tar when I stopped at this little bar, and I looked a kind of gypsy-looking place called the Don't Drop Inn. I tucked my ears up under my hat and showed the innkeeper my stomach was flat, and would he be kind enough to sell some rations to someone. There was one thing I was sure proud to see. Wasn't a soul in the place except for him and me, and he just looked disgusted because he only sold pottery supplies. He said there was a merchant up the road a ways, and he wasn't very busy today, and he could have a runner there in just about 10 minutes or so. He said, now you just stay right where you're at, and I didn't bother telling the darn fool I sure as hell didn't have any place else to go. I just ordered up a mead and I shouted for a sow when some guy came in and said, who owns this bow with the rune signs and the cam wheels and 4 arrows to go? He looked at me and I damn near died, and I decided that I'd just wait outside, so I laid a plat on the bar and headed for the door. Just when I thought I'd get out of there with my skin, these 5 big gypsies come strolling in, and this one old drunk chick and some fellow with green teeth. And I was almost to the door when the biggest one said, you tip your hat to this lady, son, and when I did, my ears popped out from underneath. Now, the last thing I wanted was to get in a fight in Eastern Corona on a Saturday night, especially when there was 3 of them and only 1 of me. Well, they all started laughing, and I felt kind of sick, and I just knew I'd better think of something pretty quick, so I just reached down and kicked old Green Teeth right in the knee. He let out a yell that would curl your hair, but before he could, grabbed me a chair and I said, watch him, folks, because he's a thoroughly dangerous man. Well, you may not know it, but this man's a spy. He's an undercover agent for the Kanos Guards, and he's been sent down here to infiltrate the gypsy camps. Well, he was still bent over and holding on to his knee, but everyone else was looking and listening at me, and I laid it on thicker and heavier as I went. I said, would you believe this man has gone as far as to tearing off wings of pixies in the dark, and he voted for King Antonia to die? Well, he's one of them long-haired hippie-type druid fags. I bet he's even got an ogre flag tacked up in the inside of his leather cloak. He's a snake in the grass, I tell you guys. He may look dumb, but that's just a disguise. He's a mastermind in the ways of espionage. They all started looking real suspicious at him, and he jumped up and said, just wait a minute, Jim. You know he's lying. I've been living here all of my life. I'm a faithful follower of Brother John Birch, and I belong to the Antioch Gypsy Church, and I ain't even got a leather cloak. You can go home and ask my wife. He started saying something about the way I was dressed, but I didn't wait around to hear the rest, as I was too busy and moving and hoping that I wouldn't run out of luck. When I hit the ground, I was covering tracks, and I come to the merchant. His name was Jack, and I threw him man 20 gold and grabbed the food, and off I went. Mother Tunari would have sure been proud of the way that I was moving when I passed that crowd coming out of the door and heading towards me in a trot. And I guess I should have gone ahead and run, but somehow I just couldn't resist the fun of plugging them each in the eye with a single bow shot. Well, they're heading for me, and I rooted them good, and I spun around and headed them off for the pass while I was slinging my quiver over my shoulder and laughing at them, cursing me. Well, I had them out there all stepping in and bitching like their heads were on fire and their asses was catching, and I figured I ought to go ahead and split before the guards got there. When I hit the road, I was really flying. I had a friendly druid cast sow on me, and I didn't slow down till I heard a couple of bards singing. I think I'm going to reroute my trip. I wonder if anybody'd think I'd flip if I went to NK via druid rings.